Today we're going to look at why it's so important to choose the right profession and specialty in that profession. Stay tuned. Greg Thomas here from Wealth Generation Strategies. I like talking about anything and everything that can help you increase how much wealth you can save for yourself and for your family. Today I'm going to be talking about a topic that I like to play around with a bit. I say, choose your profession wisely, Grasshopper. Remember the old Daniel son? This is where this is coming from. And if you don't get it, don't worry, it's okay. The reason why this is so important is I'm going to kind of start with the end in mind here. Every dollar that you make per hour, if you're working salary, you can figure it out very quickly because you know whether you're making $70,000 or $100,000 a year. But when you're working an hourly wage, you think, well, what's a buck? What if I earn $20 an hour and earn $21 an hour? What difference does it make? It makes a $2,000 difference after 1 year. So that's gross, of course, and the numbers could be a little bit out, but it's pretty darn close to $2,000. It's incredible the difference it makes. Wouldn't you rather make that extra dollar an hour and put that money away into your long-term savings? I would. I'm always looking for ways to increase my bottom line. Today, let's get into this. Let's look at how we can do this and why this is so important here. Let me tell you my story and why I believe this is such an important topic. I was working as a systems administrator, network administrator type person. So I took care of servers, switches, routers, network devices, things like that. And I did okay. I ran my own business, but I always felt that I had a ceiling. And I also felt that I was missing out on opportunities. I would look at the developers and I'd think, you know, I've always wanted to be a developer. First of all, that's something I wanted. So that's really important. But also, I could see that they're the ones who are offered the opportunities. I almost liken it to being when I was in the military. I joined as a non-commissioned officer. In other words, I was just a private when I joined. I wasn't even like a lieutenant or anything like that. And in the Canadian military, it makes a big difference. The real opportunities are offered to the officers, not the non-commissioned officers. I retired as a corporal after 10 years. I was done. I was ready to move on. I saw that the opportunities were for the officers. I tried to become an officer, but the doors kept getting shut on me. So eventually I said, okay, this is it, I'm done. I saw that again in my working profession. I always wanted to be a developer, and I could see that the real opportunities were being offered to the developers in the company. So I was like, you know something? I got to move in that direction. About 17 years ago, I made the strategic decision to start moving over in that direction. With it, I was doing small projects and learning what I could, moving along and doing stuff. And eventually I did become a developer, and I've been offered tremendous opportunities because of that switch, because I chose a different specialty within my profession. So I suggest that you look at your profession and consider what specialty would be best for you, and also something you'd enjoy even more. So that's actually my point number one. Make sure that you love what you do. That is so important. Some might disagree. Don't follow your love. Don't do this. Follow the money. I tell you something. If you don't love what you're doing, when it gets hard, and it will get hard, I am not joking, it will get hard at times. And I was doing my recertifications, it got hard. It got really tough, and I was scratching my head going, why am I doing this? I'm crazy. But because I paid a lot of money for this, and because I knew a lot was on the line, and because I loved it and I wanted to do this was my dream, I was able to hang in there. So you gotta love what you do, or else you're gonna quit. You're gonna say, well, this is just too much work, and you're gonna turn away. You waste a whole bunch of time, resources, and energy. So gotta love what you're doing. The second thing is, wherever you're working, look for opportunities for ownership. This is why becoming a developer to me was so important, because developers a lot of times are on the cutting edge of a company that's being created. They're in the early stages of a company, and small companies, especially when they haven't got a lot of cash flow, have a lot more shares than they do cash. They're willing to share that with the developers if they're willing to stick around. I've gotten shares in multiple companies doing this. I've been able to create my cash flow based upon this. Right now I'm sitting on a huge opportunity. We'll see how it pans out. You know, you are taking chances. What's the old saying? For any reward, there is risk involved. For me, the risk is I've wasted some time. So what? I've always found that when I look for opportunities where I can get a little bit of ownership, I usually find that I get ownership and it's very worthwhile. Yeah, I could earn $200,000 this year working with that company, but I could get ownership and only earn $100,000 and then turn around and get $1 million for that same time put in. That's what I usually find, that the ownership is worth way more. So always look for opportunities for ownership. Sometimes that looks different if you are in a different profession. I know that a salesperson one time that was with a struggling company, they couldn't really pay her what she was worth, and she was a rock star salesperson. So they gave her ownership and she became a multi-millionaire when they eventually sold the company. So it doesn't matter what it is. Now, will all companies offer you ownership? No, they won't. Some companies are not even permitted to offer you ownership. I worked for an association that was run by doctors, and I couldn't be an owner in the company. That was the law in Alberta. So I was hosed. I couldn't become an owner. The next point here is you got to really open up your vision on what you're doing, especially if you're working for somebody or you're working on your own project. Doesn't matter what it is. You need to open up your vision on that. Think of other ways you can create cash flow with it, especially if it's something that you're creating. Hey, you could write a book and sell it on KDP, or if you're really lucky, you can get it syndicated by a larger publisher, but you're only going to make profits from the book. But let's say you back the book up with a video course, and then you back it up with consulting, and you back it up with higher level training and more books. You know, you don't got to look far to see people who have been very successful doing this. One name that just pops into my head right away is Robert Kiyosaki. The dude has written a lot of books, and it's all about the same thing. He just looks at different facets of it, and every book he just kind of unpacks and unfolds and show you something slightly different. But it's the culmination. I remember what somebody once said, it's not when you write a book that you become wildly successful, it's when you write several books. And I firmly believe that. So regardless of what it is, whether it's writing books, writing plays, whether it's finding new product streams for a product, even the company you're working with, look at the company you're working with and say, gee, you know, if we repackaged this product like this, wow, get the buy-in, get some ownership into it, and you can become wildly profitable from that. There's times I've seen, when I was in the military, there was one time when somebody saw a better way to do things in this particular division. The military had their fixed way. They didn't mind a contractor coming in and doing it the way they wanted to do it, but they didn't want to adopt these procedures themselves. So the guy left the military and created a company, and he turned right around and sold those services to the military, and he became a multi-millionaire. He was able to take the procedure that he developed and sell it back to the company he used to work for, the military, and they were tickled pink by this. He was doing nothing wrong in their eyes, and he was happy because he can employ other people, and the more people he employed doing this procedure on multiple bases, the more he made. So hats off to the guy. Before we get into our bonus, I just want to ask you, are you getting good value from this video? If you are, give it a like today. I'd like to see how many likes we can get on this video. I've had, I think, 8 or 9 likes on a video, or 10 likes on a video. I'd like to see if we can break that record. So if you are liking this video, give it a thumbs up. Thank you. Let's get into our bonus. I'm going to give you a twofold bonus here because they're like little bonuses, okay? The first one is never chase a position for prestige or power. It's a waste of time. You want to chase a position that's going to pay you the money in the long run. Let's get crack-a-lacking here and saying, at the end of the day, you're doing this job because you want to get paid. Make your moves based upon your payday and what it's going to look like, whether it's getting ownership, whether it's getting extra bonuses, whatever. Never look at a position for prestige. It will tarnish very quickly. I strive to become a chief technical officer in a company, and I became one within about 7 or 8 years of my career. and I hated every second of it. It tarnished real fast. Always find ways to serve those around you. Make that your mantra, where you go out and you're just trying to help those around you. That's what you're trying to do. Trust me when I say, you help enough people around you, you will be financially remunerated. I know it seems to kind of go contrary to some of the other points I've already made. It's all about the money and such. It is. It doesn't change. But if they think that you're there just for the money, again, it tarnishes for them very quickly. But if you're there to be as strong a helper as you can be and help them succeed, and you care, then in a lot of cases, the money will come. You have to trust me on that one. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. And I've got another video coming up here that I put out last week. I think you're going to enjoy it. It's called, Is Saving for Winners or Is It for Losers? Go watch the video. You'll enjoy it. We'll see you there. Frank Thomas. Talk to you later.